It was the summer of 2005 and I was 15 years old. And my parents, after retiring from the United States Navy, decided to finally settle down somewhere and buy a house. We lived in based housing ever since I could remember, but we'd moved from place to place every few years, and now we were finally settling down and setting roots. So we bought a house in a cozy little subdivision in North Las Vegas, Nevada, far away from people and the press and the crowds, and we were finally in one place for a little while. I could stay in the same school, didn't have to relearn friends' names. And it didn't take very long with the rate of growth of the city at the time before the city came out to meet us. And development approached us, moving at a glacial speed, but with the steadiness of a glacier towards us. And unfortunately, sometimes with development comes a bit of crime, a few unsavory characters come to the neighborhood and start walking around. And my parents, understandably, were a little bit fearful. And it just so happened, right around that time, lo and behold, who knew, there was a salesman making his rounds to gouge the denizens of North Las Vegas, Nevada, and sell the best home security system on the market. Parents let him in, showed him some hospitality. He sat down at the dinner table and assumed a visage of great care and consternation for our safety. For our safety. Not so much the money that we'd have to pay in order to buy it, install it, and maintain our subscription to all the various services available, but towards the end of his spiel, he lowered his voice ever so slightly, looked my father straight in the eye and said, "And you want to make sure that your family doesn't become another statistic." And this is the way that we usually hear the word statistic. We hear it as a unit or a piece of data, and no one likes the idea of being a statistic. It's a little demeaning. The idea that I am a human being, I have all these dimensions to me, I have these hobbies, I have a profession, I have these passions, and then when I leave the world, that perhaps all that will be left of me is a pin on a map at a police precinct somewhere. That is a terrifying prospect. Nobody wants to be in that position. And he appealed to our fear, and he won. He gouged us for a few years until we decided that it was not worth it, and we haven't been robbed since. So everything is going well at home. I'll knock as well to that. So no one wants to be a mere statistic. But can we avoid being a statistic? Now, statistics in general, before we start bashing the word itself, is actually a much broader term. It's the study of the collection, analysis, interpretation, presentation, and organization of data. But more often than not, we use that word to refer to just a unit of data. And that unit of data usually is in a crime blot or in a crime report or police blotter somewhere. But can we avoid being statistics in general? Now, we've all heard of Moore's Law. Moore's Law states that every year and a half, the rate at which a computer can process information roughly doubles. Oddly enough, the amount of data, the rate at which we are collecting data, is growing as fast, if not faster. And that with the interconnectedness that comes with the information age as we carry these cellular phones with us, it is unavoidable to have your data be collected. When our benevolent overlords at Google, Apple, and Amazon are tracking our purchases, our web searches, our location, if we choose to allow or block it, they are collecting data. And it's all for benevolent purposes. It's to improve the goods and services they can offer us. It is to improve our convenience and our quality of life. So no matter what we set our privacy settings to, the only way you can avoid being a statistic, and the only way that you can avoid having data collected on you individually, is to go completely off the grid, is to move to the bush in Alaska and chuck this into the ocean and never be heard from again. aside from perhaps snail mail, but then you'd have a physical address, and guess what? The man can track you down there as well. So instead of trying to avoid being a statistic, I'm not saying to open the floodgates with your personal data and transmit everything to the world. That would also be a bad idea. But instead, we can focus on being good statistics. We can be one of the 56% of Americans who live to be 80 years of age or older. That's a very good statistic that I would like to be part of, not too soon, but one day. You can be one of the 36% of Americans who owns a passport and can travel overseas and see the broad world that is out there that we can explore. Or you can be one of the 332,000 people in the world that is a member of Toastmasters International. Those are all very good statistics that I am either hopeful to be one of or very proud to be one of already. And then statistics, the study itself, in the end, I, being an operations analyst in the making, have to be a sometimes practitioner of statistics. It helps to inform better decisions. So in some way, if you get called with a survey, or if you have the opportunity to write a congressman or provide some kind of information, in some way you're helping. It's a small bit, but it's something. So in the end, instead of fearing being a statistic, you can be proud and say, I am a statistic. Thank you.
Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guest, and especially John. John spoke on project number 6, Vocal Variety from the Competent Communicator Manual. His objectives were to use volume, pitch, rate, quality, and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to your message, to use pauses to enhance your message, and use vocal variety smoothly and naturally. And you met these objectives really well. I loved your opening. It was the summer. It was very Prairie Home Companion. And you have a very pleasant voice. And I felt like your opening was really very comforting. And I enjoyed that. I thought that was a good use of vocal variety and your language and your words. The city came out to meet us. That was a wonderful expression of growth, population growth that happens in an area and the challenges of rural life. Some of the things that I think you could work on. I would like to see more vocal variety. Some of the things that you said, I think it was the variety in pitch. Your volume was really good. You changed your volume to match what you were saying well. But the pitch can be changed. Something like when you talked about crime coming into the neighborhood. Crime, just more, changing the voice patterns a little bit. And I heard a little bit more of the politician's voice that we hear from you, and the way that you have a vibration and a command of an entire area. That will serve you well in the future. I'm sure we're going to see you as a politician someday. With that voice, you can't not. But you'll want to regulate that in different venues, and it will really serve you well as a skill. I thought your voice did very much reflect the thoughts that you were presenting. That was an important piece. And then in terms of your use of the area up here, you were a little bit confined to the podium still. You had your notes, and I noticed that your transitions, to me, it felt a little bit choppy. And I think it was because you waited until you finished a sentence before checking in with your notes on what you were planning on saying next. So as a trick, if you need to have your notes there, as you finish what you're saying, if you can glance over and then look and see what you needed to be working on, it helps for a little bit smoother transition. And you were still doing a little bit of shifting back and forth, but it was mainly because you were confined to the podium. And as you increase your skills and practice more, you will start to be able to use the area more effectively. Great speech overall. You have great confidence, and you're gaining skills with every speech. I'm looking forward to your next one, researching your topic, number 7. Thank you very much.